Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Alternate Point of View. We are live. I wasn't expecting to go live, but I decided I have to react to this train wreck that I just watched on Fox Live, but I've watched it on this debacle of a debate that I saw, and I want to just kind of talk about it, get this once in a lifetime experience that I just had happen. And I imagine a lot of this country watched it, and I am sad to say probably other countries watched it, and it is pretty awful. So let's see what in the shnikes happened in this debate and how in the heck Joe Biden.
Things weren't able to be met during the month. It was a problem. The price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination of what I was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos.
So I watched the whole debate, but there were parts of this debate, and I just want to honestly, I'm just going to say Trump didn't have to say a word. He could have just stood on that stage and not said anything, and he would have won the debate. I mean, neither one of them finished out the time that they had to answer the question. Both moderators had to say they still had 60 or 80 seconds left.
Yes. And so we put the economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
You want allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But
so I don't know. I'm sure no one's on here watching me. I'm just reacting to this to myself. But I'm watching, as I watch this video, and I look at Joe Biden's face, and a lot, if no one noticed, every time Joe Biden's face would get like this, that's happening right here, they would pull the camera off of him so that he wouldn't look like that and have that weird look on his face like he has no idea where he's at.
What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election
since
the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Really fast.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban.
So they're keeping the cameras off of the candidates.
Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking,
there's Joe Biden,
complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was, an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought.
What we were talking
Kansas,
about.
I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different.
Where
but they're all making their own decisions right now.
Who is this guy?
And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that.
Take the camera
But
off.
I believe in the exceptions
Joe's
for
zoning out.
rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart, but you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided, supported Roe. And that's this idea that they were all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are.
Why is the doctor got to be a him?
The idea that
does anybody notice how many times that Joe
like
Biden screwed up and said
civil rights back to the states,
things that
let each state have a different rule.
Very
Look,
progressive.
there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and
referring
he
to a
went to the
doctor as
funeral.
him.
The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that. Here's the deal. There's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their
He also said illegal alien.
brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country.
Yep,
and they are raping and killing women.
Laken Riley.
And it's a terrible thing. As
Say
far as the abortion is
her
concerned, it is now
Laken.
back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have, everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it
taking
back.
the camera off of
I was the one to do it.
It's too
And again,
embarrassing.
this gives it
Look,
the
they
vote
give him
of the
more
people,
camera time
and
to
that's
Trump,
where they
though.
wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted
So they give him more camera
Congress,
time to
and they
Trump,
pass on universal.
not even realizing what they're
to
doing.
endorse me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst
He
border in
doesn't
history.
get it.
There's never been anything
doesn't
like
get
it. And people are dying all
Normally,
over
he
the
would have
place.
been on that, but he didn't get it.
We are living right now in a rat's nest.
See,
They're killing our people in New York.
they do not.
in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told
I don't want.
them to
He
make it
never
home
said
to
that.
their families
Trump
and quit
never
them when they
said
go
that.
to war. That's what we're doing.
38 soldiers were obliterated.
This
Zelensky comes to this country. He walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending. It should have never happened. I will.
Yes, and some other state is putting the 10 Commandments back in schools. Yeah, I was just like, I was just gonna record a video and then I couldn't do it, so I got on here and was like, oh well, never mind. I'll just play this through and react because this is just too. It was so sad to watch. It was really sad. It was like elder abuse on national television. It was so sad.
We'll have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine?
So
what do you
sad.
think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands
I don't know
of
why they have it
Palestinians
listed as
and
that.
created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict.
Wake up, Joe.
But so far, Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7.
This is so sad.
Have endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire.
The saddest thing I've ever seen.
Is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way,
Trump doesn't even have to say anything. He just is winning just by standing there.
Had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped.
Let's not forget about Afghanistan.
Israel. We are the biggest producer of support
Trump said something right there.
In the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be.
Okay, well, that's great.
Putin continue to go into NATO. We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine.
I gotta play this faster. I can't listen to Joe, Sleepy Joe.
See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50.
Probably if you play it on faster, he'll actually sound
Japan and South Korea.
Like he's supposed to sound.
That this kind of dislocation.
I don't want to hear him talk about South Korea. He really irritates me.
No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money.
South Korea and North Korea had the first time ever
because if you add
under
them up,
President Trump
economically,
where they actually shook hands and were talking.
And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them
first time in my life ever.
I said, and he's right about this.
My country was going to be
support NATO,
possibly
they asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28
finding peace
states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what
Jack
happened?
Off ruined
billions
it.
and billions of dollars came flowing
in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop.
I'm so tired of hearing about January 6th.
Electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution.
No one ever talks about all the buildings being burnt down, stores being looted.
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great
people
border.
being murdered in the streets.
On January 6th, we were energy independent.
Cities being
On January
taken
6th, we had the
over,
lowest taxes
crops
ever.
being
We had the lowest
overrun.
regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid
Look at
people.
his face.
What happened
It
to
is
the
just
United
bless
States'
his
reputation
heart.
under this
I
man's leadership
feel so
is
sorry
horrible,
for him.
including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically.
My gracious
And Nancy Pelosi,
day.
if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her
Who
daughter,
knows
the
whose bag of
documentary
coke it
filmmaker,
is? You know how many people are in
but she's
there
saying,
doing
oh, no, it's my
cocaine
responsibility. I
when
was responsible for this.
in the White House?
Soldiers or National Guard. And she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down. The mayor of D.C., they turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make
I
a speech.
cannot
I could
believe.
see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on
Bless
January
his
6th.
heart.
And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it.
So
too,
this
and you
is
could feel
the
it.
prep
And I
right
said,
here.
they
You
ought to have
see
some
how terrible
National
this
Guard
is
or whatever.
happening? This is
And I
the
offered to
means
do
they're
it.
going
And
to
she
put
now
in
admits
another
that she turned it
candidate
down.
for
And
the
it was the same
Democrat.
day she was, I don't
And
know, she can't get
I
very happy with
think
her daughter
it's
because it
going
made
to
her
be
into a liar.
Michelle
She said,
Obama.
I take full responsibility for
I
January
think
6th.
that's who they're
President
gearing up for.
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office.
That's
sat
what
there
I
for
think.
3 hours watching, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop.
Man, I don't know what this says about you and I,
Patriots and great
that we
patriots
are
of America.
on
In
YouTube
fact, he says he'll
in the
not forgive them
morning
for what
and
they've
at
done.
night.
They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no, he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones that are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they rip down Portland, when they rip down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there.
Okay.
The fire
When Trump starts winning this debate,
and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides.
on the black people is the million.
is down here.
Both times. And that's what, and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republicans,
There's points
the
for
worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families.
childcare.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history, one through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing with child care. We should significantly.
I've heard of this before. All my life, I grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing.
He's going to start getting a weird grin on his face. He just like starts smiling out of nowhere.
The fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country. You know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that were important.
Food.
Number
We have
two,
to pay that
he's in a
difference in
situation where
food.
He talks about how he has not raised. He somehow helped the middle class. Middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally
Oh my
bankrupt the country.
gosh.
You have the largest deficit of any president in American history. Number one. Number two, you have not.
This is.
On tariffs because we bring in so
Look
much money with the tariffs.
at his face.
China. He never took them away again because it's
Bless him.
It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit.
So sad. They keep taking the camera off of him. They can't do close-ups.
If you keep allowing them to
Because
do what they're doing to us as a
his
country, they are
face.
killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Chick, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5
Until the
almost 3 years
COVID.
like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border where it
need those machines, and we're coming down very hard. in every country
Machines.
in
Now
Asia
there's
in terms of
fentanyl
because
machines, you
fentanyl,
guys.
and
He's
Mexico
talking
is working
about
with us to make sure we
fentanyl
have the technology to be able to put it
machines
together. That's what we have to do. We need those
to
machines.
track
Thank you,
fentanyl.
President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
well, this does pertain to it.
Youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States.
Whatever. I
Guess
don't.
what? Those fabs, they call it, to build these chips. Those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow
You have 40 seconds left.
President talked like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America. All opportunities. We're the most
Everyone.
progressive country in the world and getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're the
No.
country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us.
No.
All of our allies and our those who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong Un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
We
Thank
are
you.
not.
Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them.
I
As you know,
I aced both of them. I sure did. Look at it. Look at this goofy smile. What is happening? I feel so badly for Joe Biden.
exams every year. And you know,
Bless his
we knock on wood
heart.
wherever we may have wood.
If this is
that I'm in very good
borderline
health. I just
elder
won
abuse.
2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel
Bless his heart. It's just elder
I wouldn't be
abuse.
here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a
He
president.
doesn't know where he
I'm going
is.
to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies
He's
are
like holding himself up
insane.
on the
They're
podium.
insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us
See?
into World War III. And we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III. And he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they
Yep.
don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman. And he's going to drive us into World War III.
Drop the mic,
One of
Trump. Drop the mic. And that was all he had to say. And Trump crushes it. Crushes it. Yeah, well, same. I'm telling you, I was gonna just record something and then it wouldn't let me. It was like, your storage is full, you have to delete stuff. And I was like, that's too much of a task. I'm just gonna do a live recording and it'll do a recording anyway. So yeah. So Biden's trying to say we have the best healthcare, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, we don't, because you know how much healthcare is under Obamacare for me? Like almost $800 a month for a person who has basically zero income. That's how much you're supposed to pay to Obamacare. Yeah. And it's an $8,000 deductible. That's what Obamacare does. They lie. Yeah. I watched some more trial stuff, and then I'm watching a Taiwanese drama. I have to have my foreign dramas to break up the trial stuff so that I don't continuously have crime on the brain. But then I always have crime on the brain. So then I did not want to miss this debate because it was so sad. This debate was so sad. It wasn't even a debate. It was so sad. They're not going to. They're going to gut punch this election with a new candidate. That's what they're going to do. They're going to take Joe Biden out, and they're going to put in Michelle Obama. That's what they're going to do. I think that's what's going to happen. Because she's very popular. And they couldn't get old Hillary in there. So they will get Michelle in there. And they'll keep the dream alive. That's what they will do. Nope. It's an embarrassment overall for Republicans and Democrats. We're in a bad spot. Really, really, really bad spot. So, but we shall see. Oh yeah. It's really bad. Really bad. I mean, and it's just walking right in. There's not even anything about smuggling. It's just coming right on in. It's crazy. So I'm going to start I don't know how many part series it's going to be, but I'm going to start a parted out series for the Samantha Wall, Michael Bolanos situation, because I want to make sure all the information gets out there. So I'm going to have to part it out. But I'm going to start off with her and how what led up to it. So we'll see what we can find more about her murder. See what other kind of clues we can find. Okay, well, that is my reaction. I think that was elder abuse. I don't know, but I think CNN should feel ashamed for allowing that to happen. I think all of that poor old man's caregivers should feel ashamed for allowing that to happen. And, I mean, because even old Ronnie was not in his best shape, and they didn't allow him to appear like that. They did their best to not allow him to look like, to make our country look like a mockery. But that's what we're doing. We're just letting that happen right there for the world to see. That's really sad. I feel sorrier for him, which is really sad and weird. But I feel really sorry for him to be out there like that. And that's how people are going to remember. Never mind he was a crappy president, but okay. Well, that's my reaction. We're screwed. That's what I think. I think we are royally, royally screwed. Everybody register to vote. Don't forget, if you're not registered, it might be too late. I hope not. Get out there and register to vote, and don't forget to vote. That's right. That is very, very true. And don't forget those illegal aliens, because that's what Joe Biden said. He's called them illegal aliens. He's going to get in trouble for that. He's going to get a naughty from his Democratic Party for saying those words. On national television. Shame, shame. That Alzheimer's kicked in. Took him back. Jeez. Oh, bless us all. Bless us all. What are we going to do in America? Okay. All right, Gwen. Get some rest. I will chat with you later. And I'll see you Monday. Have a good night.